Have you ever wondered what happened to the legendary Chuck Norris? I recently saw a video he made and I was shocked. He's in his 80s and still kicking butt and working out and staying active. He did this by just making one change. Chuck says he still feels like he's in his 50s. His wife even started doing this one thing too, and she's never felt better. She says she feels 10 years younger, her body looks leaner, and she has energy all day. Chuck made a special video that explains everything. Make sure you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/inspired or by clicking on a link below this video. It'll change the way you think about your health. Once again, that's chuckdefense.com/inspired or click on a link in the description below to watch the video now. If the legendary Chuck Norris can do this at 81 years old, so can you. Watch his method by clicking on the link in the description box below. chuckdefense.com/inspired. Hey, Inspire Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers, it's John Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another Inspired live stream. For those of you who are new or just coming on for the first time this year, welcome to 2024. Now, a lot of things are always improving and changing, but the mantra of the Inspired live stream remains the same. We're healthy, wealthy, whole, and free. It's very important. This has been the mantra for hundreds and hundreds of live streams. I'm so excited to see you all. Let me see who's in a live chat today. I saw Black Sky, Merlin Head, Dr. Lenny, good to see you. Black Sky is one of the original tribe members from the beginning. Stuart is here, also one of the original ones. Deborah, I saw Luke. Ronnie, I think, is here. Welcome, Ronnie. June, J. Frog, so many wonderful and familiar names. Gracious love. Welcome, everybody. All righty, so 2024 is all of 5 days young, not even fully 5 days young, and it's nuts. I'm not gonna lie to you. It is completely nuts, and it's kind of crazy all over the place. But we're gonna peel the onion a little bit, explain what I mean by that, what is going on in California, just some weird stuff going on there, in Japan. Major earthquake and fires and landslides, and then we're going to go to Miami, the strangest of all stories. So, and then we're going to unpack it a little bit more as to what I think is really unfolding in front of our eyes and what the things are that we could and should really do to remain sane. Okay, so in California, I'm going to probably talk a little bit over this clip here. In California, there was a freak wave, a rogue wave that just all of a sudden came in and swept over people, and then they've had surges. The interesting thing about this is this happens all the time. You know, Florida knows surges, all coast areas know surges. What is crazy about this story is that nobody saw it coming, and even the surge. They put out the warning, but ahead of time, nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw these waves coming. Nobody officially has any explanation. And of course, it's always a weird sign with the meteorology in place that we have now, with the measurements. I mean, they can pretty much measure and monitor anything that's happening on land and in the ocean. And so it's a weird incident. I don't claim to know what caused it. It's just very weird. And then you've seen more storm surges that are not really connected to bigger storm systems or anything like that. So this is a very, very strange thing that happened in California and surprised a lot of people. The thing with what people will say is, and this is with the upcoming events in spring, well, there's one big one coming up in January that I'm going to talk about probably in the next live stream. And then there's a few more coming up. These are big meetings that are being held. I believe that to a certain extent, we're going to see either more focus on weather events, or we're of course going to see more engineered weather events to fit a certain narrative. But there is another component to this. It's been announced and projected for this time period, and measurements show this, that we're having extreme solar activity. According to this is when I go into these fields, I'm not an expert in those fields. However, when I I watch and listen to people who've been studying and doing this for a very long time. They continue to say that every new wave that's coming in is stronger than the one before. And apparently, there's a very, very strange filter on. There you go. Had a Barbie filter on my face, but um, the solar activities are apparently, every new solar flare wave that's coming through is apparently stronger than the one before. And so what the measurements and what these experts are claiming is that this is only going to go higher and higher and higher. The thing is that the real extent of the effects, right, is really hard for us to truly know. We know what effect it can have on electromagnetic technology or technology that uses electromagnetic frequencies. We know if it's strong enough, it can disable, interfere with it. We know that it must have an effect on our mood, our psyche, our what is happening in the body, and of course, it also must have an effect on weather and weather phenomena. I mean, it's the sun, right? So this is one avenue to look at. As I said, the other avenue is that we are approaching major conferences and that the world, the mainstream world, is shifting and tilting from huge pandemic discussions and huge health discussions and contagion discussions to the greatest risk of them all, according to the mainstream, which of course is climate change. There isn't, when you go into that subject, there isn't a single discussion in the mainstream that I can give any credit to for a clear reason. Nobody in the mainstream is allowed to in a meaningful way discuss this following statement here. For as far as we can look back and as we can look at the data that's available and the studies that are available, the climate of this realm here has been changing, has always been changing. You and I learned about this in school. You learned about the ice age, you learned about the more tropical periods, and you learned about who survived, who apparently died, what species didn't make it, and whatnot. Now, for the first time, we are taking climate change out of the discussion and out of the bigger picture and are solely connecting it to human activity, which has never been done before. It started really in a big way in the 70s, started early in the 60s, but really then 70s and 80s. Now, my first encounter in school with climate change, my friends, was the looming ice age that was coming, global cooling. That's what I was taught in the beginning. And then it all later shifted to global warming. And now it's not warming or cooling, it's just climate change. It's getting, it's the goalpost keeps being moved, but what nobody is asking, if the climate has always changed, what makes us think, I'm talking from the mainstream perspective, that we in some way, shape, or form can stop that from happening? I'm not talking about the influence that we're having on the well-being, on the ecology of this world, of this earth. There's no doubt about it that our ways are not sustainable, not regenerative. No doubt about it. I never would question it. We're insane with what we're doing. It doesn't make any sense. But to say that we can actually stop the climate from changing, how? How exactly? How exactly do you stop something from changing that has been happening long before we had any significant influence on it, on weather or climate or nature? And then the second question is, why are we not talking about, okay, if we all agree, which is that's a fact, climate will be changing continually. There's no reason for us to believe that from here on out till eternity this will stay the same. Why are we not working about assimilating, adjusting, and preparing, right? Rather than this other discussion. Okay, so that's that. That's a little bit towards the this freak wave and the weather incidents that we've seen so much about in 2023. But let me show you this here. This is what has happened and unfolded in Japan. We're watching the video footage of this earthquake. And I'm showing this because it all happened in the first few days of 2024, and I want to really get a little bit more into the energy of 2024, what I believe we will see, and what we can or should be doing about it. So, earthquakes are nothing strange in Japan. What is strange is this accumulation in a short period of time worldwide of things that have been happening. I just want to show a little bit. Really, the next clip here that we're going to see in a little bit is the one that I wanted to show you, because you are going to be reminded of something that happened last year, because there was an earthquake, and then apparently after the earthquake there was a fire. Here we see the aerial footage of Wajima City in Japan, and what wasn't destroyed by the earthquake was destroyed by the fire. Now this reminds me a lot of Lahaina on Maui or Hawaii, and for some reason I immediately thought, well, I wonder how they will rebuild this, right? Because what we've seen over the last years is extreme fire, water, earthquake destruction in strategic places in the world, or war destruction. Like a lot of people are saying that the Ukraine is supposed to become the poster child for the 15-minute cities and the fully digitized structure of everything. And so it's apparently it will be rebuilt by companies like BlackRock that are leading the charge in the Ukraine. And it's been said that that's supposed to be the model for the world on how AI and everything digitized will be implemented. Now, I wonder if the same thing is going to happen here in Japan, in Lahaina, and in other places that have been destroyed at a frequency and at a rate. What we've witnessed over the last 12 months, this is objectively speaking, if you look at the stats, has never happened before. We've never seen this kind of destruction in so many places in the world, where people don't even remember major events. People don't even talk about the earthquake in Turkey last year, that coincidentally changed Erdogan's mind about allowing for the full implementation or full membership of NATO and Finland, of Sweden and Finland in NATO. You know, before the earthquake, he was fully against it. After the earthquake, he changed his tune. I said this before. I think these things are connected. I don't think this was a natural earthquake, but hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people have died. Regions have been destroyed. So the frequency is what really gets me. But now we're going to really get into the strangest. This is by far the earthquake in Japan. The death toll has unfortunately gone up to over 100 people. This is real life destruction that is, destroying people's livelihoods, their homes, everything, and it's taken lives. But this next story hasn't, at least not officially, there were no deaths, but it is the strangest story of the year. Yet it could be a complete false flag. It could be something similar to what has been reported. That's unlikely. Or it could be what some people are claiming it was. So I'm talking about Miami, January 1st, apparently in the Bayside Mall, which I did a little bit of digging around this whole subject because the story is so strange. But apparently in the Bayside Mall, which is a small mall, it's not one of the big malls, it's a small mall apparently. The official story is that the police responded to some teenagers fighting with sticks and shooting fireworks. That was the official story. Apparently a lot more unfolded. There's this lady here, and she is on TikTok, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, I've never seen her until this clip here, but she went a little deeper into the story, and I want you to hear this. This is about a 3 or 4 minute clip here. She put it all together, and then let's talk about it.
It broke out between juveniles. Juveniles, they say, had sticks and fireworks. But Auntie, why do you care if that's on the news? In Miami, Florida, at a mall, the local police were dispatched to the mall for an argument, a fight that broke out between juveniles. Juveniles, they say, had sticks and fireworks. But Auntie, why do you care if that's on the news? That isn't a big deal. No, my friend, no, it's not. It is definitely not that big of a deal. I agree with you, and it is definitely, hands down, not a big enough deal for the local Miami Police Department to show up on the scene just like this. Right? That seems like a lot of officers to show up. Probably 100, along with choppers, black choppers from the PD, patrolling the scene from above. And according to witnesses, eyewitnesses there, the Miami police was not dispatched there for a juvenile fight. And the obvious need for such an enormous police presence was far more sinister than what we've been told. As multiple witnesses claimed to have seen, I can't believe I'm going to say this, creatures that stood 8 to 10 feet tall, walking outside and even inside of the mall. And the pew-pews that were reported, and even the pew-pews you might hear in some of the videos, had nothing to do with the juvenile fight. According to these witnesses, it was actually the mall-goers shooting to protect themselves from these 8 to 10 foot tall creatures in self-defense.
Yeah, no, that's why I came around.
But wait, it gets better. Along with the ridiculously high number of police officers that arrived on the scene and the helicopter flying above, apparently after this incident was phoned into the police, the Black PD helicopters were the only things flying that night in the Miami sky. As the Miami airport was shut down, still no flights going or coming at Miami International, only one PD helicopter patrolling the area. The absolute lack of this story anywhere is absolutely driving me mad. Can someone confirm they've cut the police scanner? Check flight tracker, doesn't look like any flights leaving or coming into MIA. You can see the helicopter doing loops. Yes, they cut the scanners. Multiple people claim they saw 8 to 10 foot tall aliens or very tall zombies, and it caused shoppers panic. There are now black helicopters flying and everything is blocked off. Power has also been cut in a few blocks and at the mall. So you're going to tell me that the police literally cut the public's access to the police scanners, all because some juveniles are fighting with sticks? And they're going to cut the power, not only to surrounding areas, but also the power to the mall itself. So much so that 61,290 homes are without power at that time. On Reddit, we found anyone following what happened in Miami last night, apparently mass sighting of 7 to 10 foot tall creatures. Flights halted, police radio cut off, and helicopters patrolling. So are you really telling me that they're hoping, they're praying that we are all going to just believe this? You cannot be serious when you tell me you're going to cut the power to the mall and multiple homes in Miami, shut down a whole airport, no planes in and no planes out, have hundreds of police officers storming the mall, rushing to the scene, and Black PD helicopters scouring and patrolling the area from above. All simply because of a juvenile fight where some of the juveniles were armed with some kind of sticks.
Look at this. Look at this police presence. This is crazy.
What did you hear?
Gunshots.
Oh, that's what that was? I didn't hear that. I just heard screaming.
Yeah, no, that's why I came running. I heard
This is absolutely crazy. So, okay, I want to unpack this. I went through this all of last night and a little bit this morning. I was looking for some of the facts to be confirmed. So, number one, the official story is what you said. It was some juveniles and 4 were apparently arrested. There is very little video footage of those juveniles. There was video footage of one fight where there were maybe 30 people. I can't tell for sure, but that was the footage. But it was nothing crazy, nothing that we don't see now. Kind of every weekend coming from one major city of looting and whatnot. Okay, so that at least happened somewhere. We can't confirm whether it's in the same location. So then you have this massive police presence. this is the first thing that I think we need to unpack. We're talking about Miami. Miami is a huge crime-ridden city. You have drug crime, you have gang crime, you have violence. It's been like that for freaking 40, 50 years. So to issue a citywide police alert, which was issued, that's what was issued, which means that all available officers were called on the scene, is very strange. Granted, it was January 1st. There is always a period of more tension and more attention. So yeah, but this is still unprecedented, because if all available officers are called there, then what is happening all over the city that nobody can actually attend to? This is probably the most important question here. Then you have this story of apparent eyewitnesses that saw 8 to 10 foot tall creatures and were shooting at them. I haven't seen an eyewitness go on camera and talk about it. I heard people talk about eyewitnesses, but not an actual eyewitness. I might have missed that video. If you have it, please send it to us. I haven't seen anyone taking any videos of these 8 to 10 foot tall creatures that were apparently there, which you would think that that's the first thing people do these days, right? A mall, 8 to 10 foot tall creatures, probably somebody would have taken a video. Don't they have security cameras? Okay. So these are all very strange things. So number one, I don't believe the official story. Number two, I don't necessarily believe the 8 to 10 foot tall creatures either. Number three, this is where it gets strange. The power was really shut off for over 60,000 people in that area. Why? Why did they cut the power? What would a juvenile fight officially have to do with cutting the power? I could not confirm that in that particular time period, the airspace was closed or nothing was going in and out of Miami-Dade, which is strange because there should be a news article about it. However, I could confirm that there were disruptions during Monday, and at certain periods, flights did not leave or were pushed back for up to 3, sometimes 6 hours. However, according to the news articles, that happened earlier in the day, and this was later at night. So I don't know if these two things are somehow connected. I did see screenshots of the airspace being pretty much empty at that time. However, I couldn't go back and really verify that time frame on the flight tracker, on the radars, to see if it was really empty. So I don't know that. That's just what was reported. And then you must ask yourself, how come this is not a bigger story? This is I mean, when 100 cop cars show up and all this is happening, you would think that the media would follow up and kind of go, what the hell went on there? The biggest question for me is, if you issue a citywide police alert and you bring all this manpower over to one place, what was going on somewhere else that the police was being distracted from, that first responders were being taken away from? That would be my main question. Usually, this is where I would look. If nothing really major happened where all the police officers were sent to, then my first question is, what was going on the other side of the city at that time? So a strange incident, but to me, the first 2 days of 2024 signifies something that I've been anticipating, predicting, and a lot of other people have been seeing this too. We're entering this most intense area of the Twilight Zone here. And for multiple reasons, the world around us is going to look and seem crazier and crazier than it's ever been. That does not mean that your particular world will turn crazier. Here's how I see it. We've been talking about these timelines, right? And the split in timelines, or the split in ways of living, or the split in intentions, however you want to call it. This is now, I think, getting further apart. And you can still observe this from here and this from here. You can still observe these timelines. And so when you look out into the world, everything's getting mad because the world has been mad for so long. And this is now playing out. And this is nothing strange to me. We're going to see more of that. there's also a sowing of confusion. So people have no idea anymore what's real and what's not real. If you think about more and more disclosure talking about UFOs and aliens, now throughout all the major news networks, there are segments discussing this. There are serious people discussing this. And it's now not a question anymore of, do they exist? Now there's talk, how long have our governments been talking to them? How long has this been going on? But what is happening here with these stories and with this throwing out of random UFO footage and creatures and aliens is sowing confusion. So nobody will have any idea what's real and what's not real. And so you can pretty much steer that whole story however you want. What is the moral of this whole live stream? Why do we talk about this? Because I could be here 24/7 just covering the madness, and I don't want to do that. But there is a clarity here that we can gain from this madness, is that we are called to center ourselves and step into a pure awareness, because there is literally almost nothing in the outside world anymore that you can rely on as a factual source. And it's not because of ill intention either, because it's virtually impossible to get to the facts from a purely mind standpoint these days. Because as soon as something happens, there are hundreds and thousands of people jumping on it and altering stories, making up stories, sowing disinformation for various reasons. There are whole agencies within military, within the defense sector, and other government agencies that are solely there to sow disinformation. It's crazy that you're paying for your own disinformation, but that is true. And every nation has it. And by the way, most bigger private organizations have it too. They have an intelligence apparatus, and part of that intelligence apparatus, you could call it PR, if you will, is sowing mis and disinformation when it suits the interests of the corporation or the government. So we have no way of really relying on any factual sources. What we can do is, if we trust an eyewitness of a scene, then that's as close as we can get to learning the truth about something. But what I'm talking about is this is so strange and unprecedented, and we have to turn more inward in the craziness, balance and stabilize ourselves, not get freaked out by these events. So often they're just loud, they're flashy, they're crazy, and they just go away as fast as they've come. So it's really about centering ourselves more and more and more. And then when we look at the world around us, we do it with a calm perspective, and we do it with a balanced perspective. And then we can actually, if we're connected, we can pull out the information that matters and leave the rest completely out. And so this is really the key message through this year, because for those people who are so addicted to constant news, constant information, being informed, it'll get worse. It'll get harder. It'll get more painful. It'll get more depressing. It'll get everything. But for those who are on the path of becoming the best possible version of themselves, it's going to get exponentially better. And that's the craziness of these two timelines that are playing out right in front of our eyes. And then there's another factor, that the increase of the electromagnetic spectrum in technology and the technologies that have been unleashed over the last years, they apparently open up more and more portals between this reality and other realities and other dimensions. And so we're seeing beings and messages and even sound and light traveling back and forth. And so some of these strange phenomena are really created because there's basically holes in the veil, and we're seeing these things, and these things aren't actually meant to be in this reality. Some people call this part of the ascension process. I do believe that technology is causing a lot of this, whether you talk about the towers that are all around us, or whether you talk about stuff like CERN, where we really only have a very small, very small window that we can see through as to what's really going on there. So there is a lot, and that's why I'm telling you, you will go nuts, you will go crazy if you try to really understand everything with your mind, because it's currently almost impossible. But if you tune in with your spirit and with your heart, you'll have a much easier time just staying balanced and centered. And then there's another component to this too. When we go through these really hard transformation periods in our lives, and as we're going through it as a collective society right now, we need to start thinking, acting, working more localized. And what is going on in my world? What matters? What information really matters to me? What is significant, and what is just noise that just distracts me from my life, from being a good steward to my community, helping my family, being the best possible version of myself. So I encourage you to limit your consumption. Go to trusted sources. It's not that they will always get the facts right, but at least they will be honest about what they're saying, what they know and what they don't know. I wouldn't come on here and claim that I know something for a fact if I don't. That's stupid. If I'm making assumptions, I'll let you know, and I have been. But go to trusted sources and leave out the rest, right? And then there's a few more things that I encourage you. Drink really good water, the best water you can get. Remember that we perceive this reality 90% of the time through the senses, which are connected to the body. So, when we're not tuned out, or when we're not in meditation or in deep prayer, introspection, we're looking at reality through this vessel here. And so we need to take care of it. Quit the sugar, quit the alcohol, and the other stuff that's not good for you. Quit the porn if that's something that you consume a lot. It's just something that pulls you away from spirit and pushes you in another direction. Really, really just important that we become aware of these things, that we really take good care of ourselves, and that we connect with spirit every day. That is a surefire recipe to make it through the madness that will increase in the world. It will increase. There's a plethora of reasons. There are medical reasons. There are interventions, genetic interventions. There's electromagnetic reasons. There's a plethora of reasons why it's going to get crazier before it gets better. And some things just have to play out. That's not my intention. That's not my vision. That's just a logical conclusion from the journey we've been on. It is playing out, and we're, in a parallel sense, we're creating something much better if we choose to. So that's that. And then there's one more thing. Christine and I have, over the years, realized that as we're living through these times, and as we're looking at how to best take care of our spirit, of our body, of our mind, of our psyche, what helps us in doing that, right? Because believe it or not, almost nobody right now can do it without help. And so certain things we help our body and support it with certain really pure and beautiful supplements. And we'll let you know about this when we find something amazing. We always talk about this. As I said, great food, great water. One of the greatest supporters for us and thousands of people that have tried it and since signed up for it has been the FLFE service. And I'm just putting it beautifully and putting it out there and saying, if you haven't heard about it, we put the link in the description. You can absolutely try it for free. And the FLFE, I'm just quickly going to recap for those of you who haven't heard it. It's a spiritually based. So it's all based in the spiritual foundation of the founders of this service, FLFE. And it's a spiritual quantum technology. And basically, it creates a high consciousness field around your home, around any object that you choose. It's not AI. It's no download or app or device or anything. It's basically like quantum entanglement. So distance doesn't really matter. And what it does is it's EMF mitigating, which means that it really, really brings down the negative influence of EMFs on you and your family once the field is activated. And what people mainly report, here are the main things that we hear back from people, aside from our own experiences: better sleep, more energy, much more harmony in the home. People don't stay mad long at each other. Easier time to forgive. Businesses are doing much better when field is activated. Roadblocks are being removed. So there's a lot to unpack here. They've been at it for over 10 years. So this is one of the services. If you go in the video description, check it all out. We did a lot of interviews. We're going to talk more about it, but just find out what it is. And if you want to give it a trial, they're amazing. They give you 2 weeks free, no credit card needed, up to 1 month actually. Ask them about it. This has been such a huge support. We've had the service activated in August of last year. It's been activated. We since have put our families on it, put our friends on it, and the feedback that's coming back oftentimes is especially from those who didn't know, because it was just a gift from us. It's amazing. So that's a huge thing. And let me put it this way. If you're going to look at things and how cost effective they are, this is one of those things where you get so much bang for your buck, it's not even funny. And people have asked me, what is the average subscription price after the free trial? By the way, I think the average price is $35, but I think it starts as low as $12 a month, depending on which service you pick. Go check it out. At any rate, my friends, I'm excited for this year. I'm excited for exponential improvement of ourselves, all of us, and I'm excited to see the crumbling down of everything that isn't working, that has been pushed on us, that has been hurting people, has been hurting nature. That's crumbling down. And so to me, that was always included in this transformational process. For something really beautiful and new to begin, something old has to die. And I think that's what we're just witnessing. And so help each other, talk to each other. If you want to find a good space to connect with each other in our Inspired community on Locals, inspired.locals.com, you can post, comment, share with each other. It's a closed community. So if you choose to be in our Inspired community, it's just people that are in the tribe, talking to each other, connecting, building friendships. Some people have been traveling because of this platform, or meeting for coffee, or even started a business. So we're improving on these things and trying to make them even more accessible as we can. But community matters, conversations matter, well-being matters, good sleep matters, and most importantly, have some fun. It's all pretty serious, but we should have fun, and we should get the happy hormones out and hug and remember that it's joy that we really want to bring more of into this world, and unity, love, peace, harmony. All right, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in. We love you. We appreciate you. All the links are in the video description if you're interested. And we'll be back with you again very, very soon.